Hi everyone. Namaste. This is Peter here again from your DNA Awakening, and I guess today I am going to be talking a little bit about I guess my DNA activation process, and just kind of making a video to help people kind of get a sense of what this process is, and what I'm doing and how it's getting used, and again, I go through, a five-step process to, get people, cleared out and, ready to hold enough light in their body to, again, create a permanent connection between them and the higher self. And, the first, session that I do is called, um, sorry, is called, an auric cleaning. And, you know, basically what I do in this session is that you have your seven chakras, your seven energy centers, inside your body. Your root chakra, your sacral chakra, your solar plexus, your heart chakra, your throat chakra, your third eye, and then your crown chakra. And then besides those lower seven chakras, you also have eight what we call upper morphogenetic chakras. And one of them is at the center of the earth. That is a chakra we share with everybody. One of them is 6 inches below your feet, and one of them is 3 feet above your head, the magenta pink one. And that these chakras and these energy centers get they get all blocked up. They get blockages over them. And what what we mean by blockages is that we create these blockages through thought forms, right? And that these thought forms actually can create these kind of like cloudy blockages over certain chakras, based off of your experience and your thought process. And that these blockages are composed of smaller pieces that we call ids. And what ids are they're subconscious identities, right? And that it's the whole thing about how we have our conscious self and mind and interaction, and then we have our subconscious, which in some ways is the more powerful part of our being. And it's these subconscious beliefs that we have. So you say, I want to go out and find love, say, right? A boyfriend or a girlfriend. And so consciously you're saying, I want this. um, but the reason a lot of people aren't manifesting things is because subconsciously there's actually different beliefs going on, right? And so subconsciously there's beliefs of, oh, I'm not worthy, or all men, men of people of the opposite sex are actually, evil or whatever and cause me pain, or that the idea of actually falling in love is actually, tied to like all this pain in your history, so that subconsciously you're actually scared of that, and you actually don't even really want it. And that so these subconscious programmings that you have within yourself will rule and will come out on top, no matter what. No matter how consciously you're saying, I want this, I want this, I want this. If your subconscious is saying no, you don't, that will eventually rule out. And that all these blockages that we have over our chakras, our energy centers, are subconscious blockages. And it's the reason therapy. You go to a therapist, and you can still be talking to a therapist 10 years later about your same single blockage that you have not released energetically, right? And so you beat this blockage into the ground, and you've talked it to death, and all the ins and outs and where it came from and why it's there, but you haven't energetically released that blockage. And I always kind of joke around that, like, I'm the best therapist out there, because you don't have to tell me about anything. You don't have to talk to me or explain a single one of your blockages. And in that first session, I'll go release 12 or 17 blockages that you have, just like poof. And that this ability that we're starting to have to be releasing these subconscious programmings that people have, is kind of a game changer, and that the ability to go in and literally release these thought forms that are covering up these energy centers from being able to provide you with energy, changes your whole internal world. And, within, again, I'm talking about this first session, this auric cleaning session, tends to be a very powerful session because people are blanketed by all these blockages, right, all over themselves. And the initial release of these from these energy centers is very powerful for people because, people are just, again, blanketed in these, energetic, tangled messes. And, within that, so that auric session that, I'll scan through, every individual chakra and, be releasing blockages that, again, are in your highest good to come out. And, it might be important here to talk about, in terms of how I do my work is, everybody has their own specific energy signature that I can tap into. And, it's basically that I'm tapping into, your higher self, right? And that, there have been people in the past, obviously, that have gotten in contact enough with their own higher self to be removing these blockages. People go meditate in the cave for 30 years and they get really in touch and they're able to kind of, do this stuff. But we're just at a different time on Earth where we have facilitators, that are able to connect into your higher self and kind of give you that jump start, right? And give you kind of different levels of jump start, into your own spiritual growth. And, that it's also important that, it's not me going into your anatomy and I'm deciding which blockages I think are in, the best ones to come out. And that it's literally, I will be communicating with your higher self. I will ask, is there a blockage in the crown chakra? And, if I get a yes, I will clear it out. And then I would ask again, is there another blockage in the crown chakra? And if I get a yes, I'll clear it out. And, I would ask until I say, is there a blockage in the crown chakra? I get a no. And, so I say, okay, and then I move on to your third eye. Are there any blockages in the third eye? And, what's kind of important here is that, you will only be revealing blockages that are in your highest good to come out at the moment. And, it's not good to just go in and just rip people's deepest, darkest, blockages out. And that, again, we're like onions. You take off one layer, of blockages and you allow people to integrate and get stable again. And then you take off the next layer. And you kind of keep going down to the core. But, I could be working with somebody where, that maybe they have, a blockage in their throat chakra, like a really big, deep, dark one from, long time ago that's been there forever. And, that, it's literally not in their highest good for that one to come out right now, right? Because it's just too deep, for that one to just be ripped out. It's actually kind of just not healthy and good for you. And, so that, when I'm asking, and I would ask, is there a blockage in the throat chakra, I maybe would get a no in this first session, strictly because it's not in your highest good for that blockage to come out right now. And, so it makes my work, pretty safe for me because, again, I'm not going into your anatomy and I'm deciding what stuff needs to come out. It's literally you are revealing the stuff that's in your highest good to come out. So, within this auric session, this first session, besides removing these blockages, these occupants, these thought forms that, cover your energy centers, you also have kind of, an aura around you, right? An auric field. And, this auric field can get kind of slits in it, and these slits then, you're able to lose energy out of them, right? So, some of these slits are created, because of you and your thoughts and, things that you've created, create openings. And, then, there's also that, these openings, you can be, drained. Your energy can literally be drained by other people through these slits in your auric field. And, I can, in this first auric session, after I remove any blockages, in your chakras, I would, basically, scan your auric field for, what we call portals, slits, or openings, within your auric field. And then I could seal up your etheric body from all these drainages that are caused by you, and then a lot that are caused by other people. And one thing that would maybe be important to talk about here too is that when you're getting drained by other people, sometimes it's them, but most often it's actually what's called a disincarnate that is attached to them. And within this aura cleanse too, actually, the very first thing that I need to do before I can actually even do any work is actually, remove all the discarnates from your field. And discarnates, what they are is they are, fourth dimensional disembodied souls that basically act as energetic vampires and feed off of your negative energy, right? So there's some people have like 6 or 7 of these things on them, and most of the people that do, they tend to have a lot of substance abuse problems. They tend to have a lot of concentration problems. They tend to have a lot of problems doing things in their highest good because you know what these beings do is they use you as a host. They use you as an energy source, as a source of food and fuel. And what they feed off of is actually your negative energy. So what they do is they actually kind of create thought forms and within yourself to be making you do things that don't make you happy. And it's like we're all on this earth and we all blah 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 and human. And certain things make us happy and certain things don't. And why do so many people have so many problems, just doing things that make them happy? It seems like it should be easy. Well, this makes me happy and doing this doesn't. I should just be able to do the things that make me happy and not do the things that don't make me happy. But the thing is that we're all kind of riddled with all of these blockages and discarnates that are literally trying to make you do things that aren't in your highest good. So people that smoke cigarettes or people that are addicted to drugs or alcohol, right? That is usually kind of like held in place by these discarnates because they love it when you go crank butts, right? Because you feel terrible and you maybe feel guilty and you're miserable and whatever your negative things are going on, within your body and emotions. When you're accessing, drug abuse or cigarettes, that you don't actually feel good, right? But then these discarnates, they actually like that because that is providing them with fuel. Um, and what they're very kind of dark, nasty, pretty powerful beings too. People have a lot of trouble getting rid of them and even fighting them, right? So people talk about willpower, right? Well, in general, these things are pretty powerful and strong, and people's willpower is not as strong as them often, and it's why people kind of can't take control over their lives sometimes because they're actually being fed off of by all of these discarnates. And how I got into this was because when you're being drained by somebody else, way more often than not, it's not actually that person that's draining you. It's actually one of their discarnates that has hooked into your field and is draining you through their connection to you. And again, these discarnates, they actually block sessions in my work from downloading into you, right? Because they do everything they can to keep their food source as a source, providing them with their fuel, with their negative energy. And so, as these, as I'm trying to, download any, clearings into you, they will use all of their power to not let any of this work go and not let any of these things start to get released. So you start to be able to do things in your highest good, and they start to lose their energy source, right? So, the first thing that I do, in an auric cleaning is I would scan for discarnates and remove those first. And they're fairly difficult to remove, and they take some energy, and they don't go very quietly, but they're something that's completely necessary to be removed, and that the freedom that people find is just mind blowing at this point. Once you start to remove this and then remove all these blockages and these drains in people's auric fields, and then seal up their etheric body, free of just dozens of energetic blockages that you can just kind of quantumly release. And again, at the end of every session, I will do a download of your higher self into your 3D body, and again. I can only download as much as you can handle at the moment, and that your higher self will let let me know when you've had enough, and that again, as you go through these steps and your frequency raises, your ability to hold more of your higher self increases and increases and increases. So by the time I'm on like your fourth session, your download of your higher self can take 15 minutes or something, where the first session it was 3 minutes. So that again is the first session that I do is an auric cleaning, to get all the highest priority blockages out of your field, so that you are able to start to take steps towards your highest good. And the second session that I do is what's called a karmic removal. And what this is there's all sorts of karmic personas and complexes that become imprinted with, right, from past lives and just from our time spent here. Um, and these imprints relate a lot to your shadow self, right? And what your shadow self is that say you go to bed at night, right? You're going to set your alarm for 7 in the morning, and you're going to get up, and you're going to go to the gym, and you're going to come back, and you're going to eat a salad, and then you're going to eat fruit, and then you're going to go get a bunch of errands that you needed to get done, and then you're going to write that letter that you've been meaning to write, right? And you're doing all you're planning all these things that are in your highest good and make you happy, right? And you just be happy to get that done. And then you wake up in the morning and you rip your alarm clock out of the wall, and you just like throw it on the ground, and you get up, and you eat a cheeseburger and watch TV for the whole day, right? And those things don't make you happy. And that what it is that that you kind of have two sides of yourself. One side of you that's what I would call kind of normal, and that you're planning and doing things that make you happy and in your highest good. And then there are things that are part of your shadow self, that are literally, again, in the energy world. It's in terms of your light body system. It's there's forward firing functions of your light body. Normal, forward firing functions, and then there's literally reverse firing functions of your light body system that relate to your shadow self. And that people's shadow self tends to be created through a lot of these imprints and complexes. And I mean, there's just kind of some examples. One of them is like the female image complex, right? Where females literally have their attractiveness to males tied up with their survival, right? So I mean, you get kind of how deep that goes, and that all of a sudden women, and that it's not just like, oh, kind of I want to be like pretty and nice. Well, it's that if I'm not pretty nice, I won't survive. And like it's why there's so much tension surrounding this, and so much difficulty for women, because it's tied to very deep things, and the idea of separating that out is really wonderful. um, and there's certain personas. One of them is like that nothing seems quite right to you, so you kind of don't do anything, right? Even though there's all these options of things that would be good for you to be doing, well, none of them seems perfect, so then you don't do anything, right? There's one where people literally will. One's called like emotional cannibal, where people literally will provoke emotional responses from other people to feed off of their negative energy. Well, that's not your highest good, obviously, and related completely to your shadow self. Create scenarios where people don't like you and that you don't like them, and you're creating all this negative energy. There's kind of all sorts of these personas and complexes that we get imprinted with karmically. You can go to my site, yourdnaawakening.com, and I have a whole list of these that's explaining all these that I would again scan for and remove in this session. So that second session, is removing. Again, it's not me going in and deciding which karmic personas you have. I am communicating with your higher self, and your higher self will acknowledge if this is one of the personas or complexes you suffer from, and then I will remove it. And your higher self will acknowledge only the ones that are in your highest good to come out at the moment. And again, it's like onions, where layers. You take off the first layer, you allow it to integrate, you take off the next one. And karmic imprints of personas tend to be a monster issue for people. And again, that I will remove all the very highest priority ones that are getting in the way of your highest good, right now at the moment. Um, and that it's good to keep working on this and clearing karma as you get more in touch with your own higher self and keep going through this work. Um, and then again, that second session I facilitate a download of your higher self at the end of it. And the third session that I do is what's called the J seal removal. So there's actually 7 unnatural seals on the left side of your body that often manifest in our experience as kind of physical, mental, and emotional disease, right? And they're actually placed here on humanity to limit humans to basically the capacity we've been at for the past couple thousand years, which is a very limited capacity, right? Our human bodies and DNA structure is this incredibly divine, pretty much limitless blueprint, but that we have a lot of distortions on Earth right now, and that there's been a lot of interference from all sorts of different things, but that these seals are very intentionally put here to be limiting humanity, so that we were not able to start accessing our higher dimensional selves, and that this is a very important session in terms of DNA activation, because if you try to activate somebody's DNA and you bring these high frequencies in, well, they'll come in and they'll hit the first blockage and again just bounce right back out. And that when you release these blockages, people report some enormous improvements in stress within the body and also psychic development. One of these seals, the third J seal, is literally on the pineal gland, on your third eye, and it's literally designed to keep it calcifying and stagnant, right? And so the removal of this J seal helps enormously with people starting to develop their third eye, abilities, basically. And there's also, so besides these J seals, and these J seals are, they're referred to in the Bible as the Jehovah seals. It's difficult. It's hard, in terms of that's something that it's hard to know how to approach in terms of 2012 here and this whole shift and kind of ancient spiritual texts and teachings of all sorts that they're all kind of wrapped up together, but there's a certain caution that we take in terms of letting people be accessing this DNA work without all the baggage of religion, basically. And that there's even other seals besides the J seals. One specific one is called the Zeta seal, which is literally designed to stop your fourth strand of DNA from activating, which is supposed to happen when you're fairly young. Again, that all this stuff that I'm trying to help people do to get activated to their highest potential here on Earth, should naturally happen if we, as humans, were embodying our natural divine blueprint, and we hadn't had all these distortions that started to, basically affect us and limit us, and that, your fourth strand of DNA would naturally activate, I think, when you're younger than 10 even. But since we have these seals, you get to 10, and that there's tension because there's a part of your light body system that's wanting to kind of activate you to kind of this higher potential, but then there's these these blockages within you that don't allow that to happen. And some people, the idea of all this problem that girls and boys have, going through puberty, and how difficult of a stage that is, and how kind of like torn they feel. It's literally because they're going through a phase where, without distortions, they would naturally be kind of activating to kind of more spiritual, higher levels, but that these blockages are creating, again, this juxtaposition, and that we call this problem time puberty, basically. And again, that puberty is again tied up with all these these bodily changes that should be coming along with light body changes too that aren't happening. And So people get left in pretty difficult positions, and they're emotional, and they're scared, and they're lost, and they're searching. And that the removal of these seals is completely necessary and wonderfully helpful. To people beginning to activate higher levels of their light body system. And so, after the J seal session, the third session, the fourth session that I do, would is the first DNA activation, and this relates to our first three strands of DNA. And maybe I should talk here a little bit about we have our double helix DNA. Um, just like we have our physical body, but just as we have our light body system, we also have an etheric 12-strand template of DNA that can be activated. And the first DNA activation that I do is related to the first three strands of DNA, which is basically our physical, mental, and emotional selves, our 3D experience. And this DNA activation is very powerful for people, strictly because within our 12-strand template, the place where we have the most distortions is within our first three strands, right? Within our physical, mental, and emotional self. And the reason we have the most distortions there is because that's what we're engaging with the most. That's what we are consciously aware of the most. That's what we are causing problems with the most. That's what we are, dealing with this world with, and heartbreak or whatever, jobs or all sorts of things that cause people to create tension within their system, and these first three strands of DNA create they have a lot of distortions. And so clearing out all of these distortions within the mental, physical, and emotional light body self, which is very connected to our 3D body self, again is enormously helpful for people. And that besides clearing out these highest priority DNA blockages, and basically what we call reordering all reverse sequences back to their original organic imprint for health. It's all that thing about it's reverse firing through your light body system, and then forward firing functions, and all these reverse firings within your 3D body you can take and get in a forward firing function. And what this means is that people tend to be able to start doing things that are their highest good because they don't have all these reverse firings. And again, besides removing these distortions within your first three strands of DNA, this first DNA activation will basically activate your 15 chakras, your lower 7 and your upper 8 morphogenetic, to their highest energetic holding potential and original divine function within those three strands of DNA. And so again, this is a very powerful session for people, and that what I should maybe talk about too is that there's kind of two sides to this work, right? There's the whole internal one, right, where you're getting rid of all these blockages and all these reverse firings and all these unnatural seals within your body. You just feel enormously better, right? Anxiety and depression and fear and anger and resentment and guilt, and the list goes on and on. They all just kind of slowly diminish and get replaced with kind of a very peaceful kind of life-giving energy within yourself that is just enormously wonderful to be with. And so instead of being in a room and being kind of like miserable, you're in a room and you're kind of like filled with energy, and you're kind of happy and stable. And so that's one side of this work. The other side of this work is that the way this world works is that we are manifestors of our experience, right? And any distortions within your field, any blockages or seals or distortions within your field, well, they eventually show up in your experience, right, as what we call problems, basically. But it's not that the problem came out first, and that was the first thing. The first thing that happens is you have a distortion within your light body system, and so as you're manifesting your experience, this distortion will show up as something negative in your experience. And so, besides feeling just wonderful because you're getting rid of all these blockages within yourself, there's also the side, well, your life starts to bring you much higher frequency, less problem-filled experiences. So besides feeling wonderful, well, your life tends to get a lot more cool, right? Basically because that as your vibration raises, right? This world works in resonance, and that people that are angry and like to complain like to be with other people that are angry and like to complain, and they vibrate on that same frequency together, right? People that are happy and giving like to hang out with people that are happy and giving, because they can kind of vibrate together, and that as your frequency raises, well, you start to attract experiences that are of the same vibration. So as you clear out all these blockages and reverse firings, the experiences that you start to bring yourself are just phenomenally better than they used to be, and you start to bring in people and relationships and jobs and situations that are of a much higher frequency. Which is just, again, really wonderful. There's two sides to this work. There's the internal and then there's the external, and they both get enormously effective. And the second DNA activation that I do is related to your fourth, fifth, and sixth strands of DNA. Indigos, right, tend to be born with their sixth strand activated, which actually, your sixth strand is very related to your psychic abilities. And a lot of these people that are, massive empaths, right, where you're like, you're sitting next to somebody and you're absorbing energy from them, or you can't kind of pull away from somebody else's experience and, kind of have psychic connections from the time you're born, most likely you have your sixth strand of DNA, activated or somewhat activated. You can have, things kind of half activated too. And but that again, that this second DNA activation, what this one is designed to do, is basically get you cleared out and ready for the new incoming frequencies and the new Earth and where we're going to, right? And how we have all, I was talking about, the first DNA activation, we have all these distortions within, our mental, physical, and emotional selves, and they're the most distorted because that's what we live in. Well, we're eventually going to some different dimensional consciousness and experience here on Earth. And that this second DNA activation literally clears out all the reverse firings and blockages within, those strands of DNA, so that, as these incoming frequencies and as the Earth is making it shift from 3D to 4D to 5D, that you will be cleared out and ready to make this shift successfully, and not only successfully, but blissfully, right? And that instead of all these high energy times causing you problems, the second DNA activation will literally, make all these high energy times very blissful, which is just really wonderful. And this 5-step process that I do is revolved around this ascension cycle that we're going through here on Earth, and that once you have completed those 5 steps, you will be kind of energetically cleared. You will have the coding on you, basically. You will be coded up to be entering the new Earth without any problems, and that is in the end the biggest main goal of DNA activation is we are trying to get everybody successfully through this shift that we're going through. Again, that I'll facilitate a download of your higher self, at the end of your second DNA activation. And, I guess that, I guess I'm maybe kind of done here, but that was just, hopefully this is helpful again, in terms of people, getting a little bit better of an understanding of the process that I am using, and what it does to people's blockages and seals and reverse firing light body functions, and what it does to their experience, and what it's also doing to help people in this shift on Earth. And I guess big love, and namaste all.